Hello everyone. Welcome to mock NPAT analysis from Team Endeavour. I hope you all have taken mock NPAT. Must have been exhausted with 100 minutes of testing. My name is Dr. Neelima Singhani. I'll be taking you through the analysis of verbal section. As you all are aware, children, aptitude tests are being conducted to test or assess certain skill sets of the candidates. Skill sets like problem solving skills and analytical thinking, hence they are very different from your usual school and board exams. It requires a lot of application. So when we have to apply certain concepts in aptitude tests, the preparation has to be really, really thorough. Then only we'll be able to apply. And that's the purpose, because in your professional world, in your academic world, you need to apply a lot of concepts. So the most important thing for cracking the aptitude test is strategy. When I say strategy, you have to make your own strategy. And strategy comprises time management, correct question selection, and most importantly, accuracy. Everything is built upon accuracy. Now, as you all are aware, since you've just taken mock NPAT, that NPAT is a test of 120 questions to be attempted in 100 minutes. And thankfully, there is no negative marking. Along with that, there is no sectional time also, no sectional cutoff. That means you can venture in the entire paper as per your strengths. The right approach will take you through a long way and help you crack the NPAT, where we need at least a total of 80 plus score out of 120 to be in the safe zone to get admission in NMIMS Mumbai. So coming back to the strategy, I told you time management, accuracy, the correct question selection is extremely important. Although there is no negative marking, that doesn't mean we'll keep on marking, answers with flukes. We have to attempt every question with focus, and concentration should be there so that we don't commit any errors or blunders which may cost us a seat in a good college. So I'll take you through the verbal section that's called Proficiency in English Language in NPAT, and let's do the analysis of this section first. I'll just open the paper on your screens. Now, as you can see, children, verbal section or English section comprises 40 questions. 40 questions. They are diverse set of questions. A mixed pool is being tested. There are fill in the blanks, there are reading comprehension questions, para-jumbles, and some logic related questions also. In this analysis of mine, I'll be telling you how to approach a particular question type and which questions were easy, which were moderate, which required more time, and how you should actually attack that question. So let's start. As you can see, the paper in front of you, and question number 1 is there. Question 1 to question 5, 1 to 5, all of them were fill in the blanks. Now, first 5 questions were based on fill in the blanks by appropriate words, and the words comprised primarily in these 5 questions as prepositions and conjunctions. Let's see how to approach this question. Now, as you know, common sense says normal human beings, we would like to read and simultaneously solve. So some of you do this mistake of reading and solving simultaneously. In English section, children, please try to understand everything, every answer depends upon the context of the question. What is actually author wanting to convey? It depends a lot on that. So rather than filling the blank while reading, it's always better to read the complete sentence first, get the context and meaning of the sentence, and then fit in the blank. So my best friend lives dash 221/B Baker Street. Address is given. So when you are given an address that's a specific position, then you should be filling the preposition at. If you look at this one now, Raju responded to his mother's demand dash throwing a tantrum. So Raju is trying to throw a tantrum and responding to his mother's demand. So here it should be responded to demand by, responded by throwing a tantrum. So this is the manner in which you have to do fill in the blank questions, and in NPAT actually you will get more than 6 to 8 fill in the blank question. This is a little time consuming one. It has got 3 sentences with 3 blanks. So we just have to understand the strategy here. Do we need to read and solve every sentence, or we can here apply the method of option elimination as well? Let's try doing this. The first question, he just wanted to be left dash peace, but his wife continued to nag him all evening. So he wanted peace, but wife was nagging. You get the gist. Now let's see. It should be to left of peace, with peace, over peace, in peace, to peace, on peace. So obviously it will be to be left in peace. In peace is your D, and we go to the options. You can see only 2 options are with D. So your remaining 2 options B, E, A, and E, F, A are eliminated. And you can also see that both options starting with D have second sentence as F. So there is no need actually to analyze the second one. We directly go to the third one. The principal disapproves dash teachers punishing the students for minor mistakes. You disapprove or approve of something. So your answer becomes A. So you have the option D, F, A. That becomes your answer. So see, you have to have option elimination simultaneously to save on time. So question 1 to 5 children, ideally, you could have completed in just 1.5 minutes. Maximum 2 minutes if you want to spend little extra time on question number 5. Moving to the next question type, question number 6. This is from 6 to 11. All these questions are based on standard English grammar and usage. When I say standard English grammar, we follow British English grammar. So how do we approach this question type? Again, first thing remains the same, that we read the entire sentence and understand the context. The delegates would have come this evening if the flight has not been delayed. So someone was to arrive on time, but they could not. So when this could not happen, that means it is a situation that is a hypothetical situation. So you have to also focus here. What is the main word in this sentence? The main word here is if, and you all know if depicts a condition. It's a conditional tense we need to understand here. The delegates would have come this evening. They haven't. Would have. If, now there is a condition. The flight has. Now you can't use has here because it's a hypothetical situation. We have a would have, that's a probability. So it should have the previous verb in past tense. So your answer is part 4 here. It should have been had not been delayed. So grammar questions, children, you have to understand what are the parts of speech given in the particular sentence. Let's say if it's a noun given or a pronoun given, then we need to check whether the noun and pronoun given are perfectly agreeing to the verb related to that. If that is fine, then you need to further assess the other parts of speech, like adjective is proper, adverb is correctly positioned in the sentence if it is there, correct use of preposition is there. Also associated concepts like tenses, articles, you need to ascertain all these things. So if you look at the 7th question, I would request you to humbly grant me leave of absence. I would, no error. Request you, no error. To humbly grant me. Now humbly is an adverb which should be close to the verb it is modifying. So the verb here is request. So humbly should be close to request and not after to. Another aspect which you have to confirm here is that in the third part of the sentence, there is an infinitive, to grant. Infinitives are never split, children. You cannot say to humbly grant. It should have been humbly to grant me. So I would request you humbly to grant me leave of absence. So there are several concepts to keep in mind while solving grammar questions. Let's do just one more here. Neither wealth nor good breeding were seen in her behavior. Now here, my subjects, wealth and good breeding are subjects, means we are talking about them. They are connected with each other with the conjunction pair, neither nor. When you have such conjunction pair, then the verb should be according to the word preceding it. Like the subject preceding the verb is good breeding. If good breeding is singular, the verb should also be singular. It should be was. Good breeding was seen. So your answer is again part 3. So this is the way we need to attack the grammar questions. Now coming to this question type, children, it has varied names like sentence rearrangement, like para jumbling, and you will find these question types in 100% aptitude tests, all of them, because the test takers should be aware of the structural aspect of any passage. So you are tested on this. Now let's try doing this question. It has 6 sentences. What's the best way of doing a parajumble question is you read all the sentences quickly. Let's say you have 6 sentences here. So we just read all of them and then try to figure out what's the structure. Is the structure of description? Is the structure of problem solving? Or author is doing analysis? Or author is merely informing? Or there is a question answer kind of a sequence? Or step-by-step action sequence? This structure is something you need to identify. So I'm sure you all would have understood that this particular parajumble question, a lot of question answers are happening simultaneously. It's a conversational tone parajumble. So here you cannot have starting with Helen. You cannot start with number 5, which is your third option that says I come from a place. Now I is a pronoun. Before that we should have a noun for that. So the ideal way of starting would be somebody is asking a question, what is your name beside Burns? The answer now comes Helen. 6-1. You have option number 2 here. So option number 2, let's validate completely this option. 6-1, we got a link, then another link. Next question coming up after the name. Do you come a long way from here? I come from a place. 3-5, another close link. Coming a long way, I come. So coming. Then you have next, third question, will you ever go back? So for going back, somebody has to come first. So after this, second statement 2 will come, will you ever go back? And then the answer to that, number 4, I hope so, but nobody can be sure of the future. So it was very simple. This particular question type, parajumble, and in this parajumble type, this question should have been ideally answered in 45 seconds. But you can keep safely 1 minute per parajumble for your exam. So 13, 14, and 12. These were parajumble questions. First 5 questions I told you should have been in 1.5 minutes. They were fairly easy. 6 to 11, that is grammar questions. Ideally, these 6 questions should have been done in 5 minutes. Yes, that's more than enough. If you're thorough with the concepts and if you have practiced enough error detection questions, 45 seconds again per question is good enough. Parajumble, as I told you, 1 minute is safe because here you have to identify the structure, read all the sentences and do option elimination. Moving to the next question type. Now here children, most of you know these words. They are fairly easy. But what mistake some of you do that you don't read the directions carefully. Many times I have heard my students telling me, ma'am, they had asked synonyms. I didn't read properly. I marked antonym instead. So the key to vocabulary questions is read the direction carefully, whether you are asked synonym, antonym, or what's the relationship, and then you should approach. Now, these are single words. I mean, 10 seconds. It's so simple. Either you know or you don't know. You don't have to spend extra time on thinking what should be the answer because it's evident. आता है तो mark किया, नहीं आता है तो fluke मार के आगे बढ़े. So no time to be wasted on vocab questions. If you know, please mark the answer. If you don't, then you please mark a fluke because there's no negative marking. Children, never ever think that I will leave this question now and come back at the end. For verbal, you should not do this. In English language, you have to take spot decisions. You cannot come back to a question. It's rather the way it's given. Let's quickly decide, solve, decide. So acrid, this word you would have heard of means something that's very bitter or, acerbic. So when I say bitter, harsh, you cannot have barren. Barren is something that's not fertile. Eager is something that's anxious. So that's not the meaning. Corrosive is again something that hurts or harms. So that has some relationship with acrid. Derisive is scornful, contemptuous. So between corrosive and derisive, corrosive is related to bitter or rotting. So that becomes the answer. You have to take the word that's the closest to the meaning. So 15, 16, 17 were meanings. 18 and 19, you were asked to check the opposite words. Opposite, so these are 5 questions, 5 vocabulary direct questions, no more than a minute should have been taken here. So if I say 1.5 minutes for first 5 questions, then 5 minutes, that makes it 6.5, 3 more 9.5, another 1 minute 10.5. So approximately 11 minutes for 19 questions till now. My recommendation would be 10 minutes somehow, because the next question that we are moving to is a 400 to 500 worded RC, reading comprehension, with 11 questions. So either NPAT gives you 2 RCs or 3 RCs, but the total number of questions remain the same, that is 15 or 16 in reading comprehension. Now, a lot of students I have seen, they don't like solving reading comprehension because it is time consuming. Children, here I would like to bust a big myth. Please understand, this is the only question type which has the answers in the question paper itself. There is no previous preparation, memory required for this. Hence, under no circumstance you should leave RC. Don't get scared by the length or the number of questions or the kind of questions. Looking at NPAT, the trends have been that out of 15 to 16 questions on RCs, whether it's 2 or 3 passages, at least 10 questions are fairly factual and direct. You just have to validate from the passage. Second thing that comes to your mind while solving a reading comprehension is, should we read the questions first and then try to look for the answers? Or shall we look at the passage first thoroughly, read it, and then solve the questions? Here, my suggestion would be that questions you should glance through first for sure what is being tested. That should take 30 to 40 seconds for glancing through all the questions. Mind you, questions, not the options, only the question stems. Like here, the stem is in 20th question, the prime object of the author is. When I say prime object, primary purpose, central idea, essence, that means it requires the knowledge of the entire passage. So here there's no option but to read completely. If you look at the next question, which of the following statements is true? That means the given 4 options we need to validate from the entire passage. What I'm trying to convey here is whatever the question is, reading has to happen. But now the point remains, what kind of reading? I'm sure you all would be taught different techniques of reading, like focused reading, like skimming, like scanning, critical reading, which is very close to focused reading. NPAT में कौन सा वाला रीडिंग का मेथड फॉलो करना चाहिए जब हमारे पास टोटल है ही 100 मिनट्स 120 क्वेश्चंस के लिए? तो आइडियली बेटा इसमें हमें एक बीच का मेथड निकालना चाहिए विच इज कॉल्ड स्पीड रीडिंग. फोकस्ड रीडिंग के साथ स्किमिंग को मिक्स करके बीच में एक आता है स्पीड रीडिंग. आप लोगों का वर्ड speed abhi hoga per minute, I'm sure you should be able to read 100 to 120 minutes, 100 and 120 words per minute, I'm sorry. So, but that's not enough for exams like NPAT. You need to build up more on your speed. So if you manage somehow in next 20-25 days, a reading speed of 250 to 300 words per minute, then it will be very easy for you and the time management will not be a hassle. Now let's analyze this passage quickly. I'm sure you would have solved. This passage talks about men or human beings in 17th century when the scientific methods, the modern scientific methods just came into existence, they were found out. And in the first paragraph, author is trying to give a contrast of the modern scientific method by 17th century men as compared to the predecessors. The predecessors actually had their knowledge based on mere observations or traditions, which was very random and haphazard. But the moment science came into picture, rationality came into picture, and that rationality, the scientific attitude developed the countries and the Western world started developing. Although initially the Western world was very ignorant about this development through scientific attitude, but gradually acceptance came. And towards the last paragraph, author is trying to convey through the example of industrial revolution that how with science development happened, example industrial revolution, and finally all this transformed the entire world. So now when we understood the passage, ideally you should have taken 3 to 4 minutes maximum. 3 minutes would be good to read this passage. Then go to the question, the prime object of the author. As I said, it's the main idea, the central idea, which depends on the entire passage. But if you are a little confused, there's no harm in reading the first para and the last para once again to get that essence. So can I see option first says the East has much to learn from the West. East-West, was it the main idea? No. The ushering of the Industrial Revolution in the West has not been an unmixed blessing. Are we talking about Industrial Revolution in the entire passage? No. So it cannot be the prime idea. The scientific technique is the chief cause of far-reaching changes that the world is witnessing at present. Yes, science to transformation. That was the flow of the passage. So this becomes your answer, transformation to science. This is the way, children, you have to solve an RC. Let's do one more question from this passage. Which of the following statements is true according to the passage? It's a very tricky inference question where you have to validate all 4 statements. The men of the 17th century were distinguished from their predecessors by their possession of a scientific temper. Were they different from their predecessors in terms of science? Yes, it's given in the very first paragraph. The first 3 lines will give you this answer. So we can keep this aside, shortlist this option as an answer and weigh the other options. Mathematical technique became perfected even in the pre-17th century period. No validation. Men of the 17th century swore by tradition, rather predecessors, not 17th century. Even in the 17th century, nature was bound up with human hopes and fears. No, here if you look at the second paragraph, nature does what it does. That means human was not affecting nature. Nature was independent. So your answer becomes option 1. Like that, children, you need to solve the different RCs and the questions. So for this particular passage, reading time, as I told you, 3 minutes, and solving of 11 questions should have been done in 7 minutes. We've already spent 10-11 minutes. Then we spend another 10 minutes, max 10 minutes. You don't have time beyond that. So since we are always hard pressed on time in NPAT exam, if during solving 3 or 4 questions of RC or overall out of 15 we are not sure of, and validating from the passage would take a lot of time, we can just mark fluke, solve, follow over instinct because we have read the passage and then move ahead rather than Trying to locate the answer for 2-3 minutes, that's a sheer waste of time. Very important to have the right strategy in place for reading comprehension. All right, so here till 30, we have reading comprehension, this one. Then we have 31. Now earlier we started with fill in the blanks with prepositions and conjunctions. Here we have more fill in the blanks with different parts of speech. It could have been verb, it could have been conjunction, adverb, anything. Now, if you look at this, again, as I told you in the beginning, these are also called sentence completion or fill in the blanks. We first need to read the entire sentence. My sister is dash of cockroaches. Can I say fear of cockroaches? My sister has fear of cockroaches, not is fear of. Frightful, frightful, you're frightful with something, not of. Timid is shy, which will not work. You don't have to be shy. Afraid, yes, you can be afraid of cockroaches. So this becomes your correct answer. So this is the way you need to solve the sentence completion, children. So if you look at the entire paper, the 40 questions, which as I told you in the beginning, was the mix of all question types. Here, out of 40, ideal time you should have spent on this section is around 25 minutes. Ideally, you should not take anything more than 25 minutes in proficiency in English language, because you have coming up lengthy sets in reasoning and some tough questions in math also. So 25 minutes, maximum 27, 28 minutes you should go. And the best way, if you in your mocks are scoring around 25 out of 40, then you should ideally start the paper with English language section. Two reasons: the short question takes very less time, and reading comprehension requires concentration. You have to be fresh at that time. So if you can start with that and finish a long passage in the beginning, that will help you. Because coming towards the last 70th, 75th minute, reading a long passage, you may lose stamina. And as I told you, RC is something you need to solve. You cannot skip this. You cannot leave this and do something else. All right. And 40 questions that I told you, 25 minutes, children. The good attempts, when I say good attempts, should have been around 32 to 34 questions. And with 85% accuracy, if I say, and if you manage around 27, 28 correct, then you are safe for getting admission in NMIMS Mumbai. So please make sure that your strategy for verbal section is in place. Any doubt? Now I told you the strategy for verbal section. I would hand over the mic to our esteemed faculty for Quant and LR, Mr. Subhash Jha. From here, he would be taking over the analysis. Children, happy learning. Stay safe during this COVID-19 lockdown. Take care of yourself and study properly. Over to you, Subhash, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to all the students. Hope your NPAT mock was good and you handled that paper well. You are happy the way you answered the questions, but always there is a need. Always there is a need to, or always there is a scope of improvement. So that is the reason why we are here, to make you understand what are the scope of improvement left in these mock exam to improve, so that in actual exams you can take care of those mistakes that you have made in this mock and you do not make the same mistake in actual NPAT exam. So I am pretty sure you would have been benefited very highly from your verbal analysis, and you would have understood how to handle one of the most difficult section of this NPAT exam, that is proficiency in English language. Ma'am have explained to you very well about handling different type of questions from verbal section. According to me, this NPAT exam is not difficult because of difficult question. It become difficult because of two reasons that I believe. First reason is that in these exams, there are many chapters that you have to read. Like if I talk about the coming two sections, that is quantitative aptitude and reasoning sections. For these two sections, total 80 questions you need to go through or practice at least 40 to 50 chapters. So from 40 to 50 chapters, you will find 80 questions. Questions will not be difficult. It will be difficult because of the broad syllabus, or you can say variety of questions that you will see in question paper. So there are so many chapters that you need to understand. You have to handle different chapters at different level. So maybe there will be some chapters in which you might not be very good at, but there will be some chapters in which you can handle even difficult questions. So whenever it comes about many chapters, when it comes about more than 40 or 50 chapters, then important part is the right selection. So there are different strategy for different person. Even uh, the strategy that I am going to take you is very appropriate for me, will be very appropriate for some of the students, but for some of the students, they need to make their also thought process with the strategy to make it more effective. So whatever I am going to tell you with the disclaimer, this is not the only way, this is one of the way, and this is definitely going to help you in making your own strategy. It's not the only strategy that you need to follow. This is the strategy that will help you to develop your own strategy. So before dividing this two part, quantitative aptitude and reasoning section, 40 and 40 questions each, I will first try to give you a general strategy that will be applicable to both of the sections. So I'll start with the general strategy that whenever you are solving these kind of questions, whenever you are attempting these kind of competitive exams, always remember selection of right question is very important. Now when I say selection of the right question, what does that mean, selection of right question? I'm just sharing my screen, just go through it, you will understand in detail. So what I was trying to tell you that in NPAT exams or all these kind of competitive exams where time is less than the number of questions, 100 minutes, 120 questions, so less than a minute for one question. So there the important part is not to know all the answers. Important part is to know the correct questions or appropriate questions which you should answer during the exams. So it is about optimizing the score rather than maximizing, because when you will only focus on answering the questions, you might forget about the time, you might forget about the inaccuracy. So there should not be inaccuracy, there should be concern on time limit as well. So when there are so many factors there and you want to maximize something, it is called actually optimizing. So we will focus more on optimizing. So the journey begins here. How to optimize the score, or how to optimize the time effort that you will put for this NPAT exam. When I am telling you to optimize your score, you need to understand, try to divide the paper. All 40 questions of quant. Let's say we are starting with the quantitative aptitude. So whenever I am telling you to divide whole paper in at least three parts, so three different types of questions based on your own strength, based on your own comfort zone, based on your uh, competent area. Like someone may be very good at arithmetic part, someone may be very good at geometry part, someone may be very good at higher mathematics part, because these exams will be taken by science, commerce, arts, all students. Maths should be the subject. So if you have opted for maths in 12th, then you have a different understanding of maths and how you have studied, which chapters you have liked most. So based on that, your strategy would be different, or your selection of questions would be different. I'm showing you some parameters on which selection of questions should be done. So just go through the slide. this slide, you will understand I have divided the question in round 1, round 2, and round 3. So all the questions I have divided with the topic, and then why I have kept this in round 1 and why I have kept this in round 2 and why I have kept this in round 3. So if you will understand the reason behind the questions keeping in round 1, 2, or 3, you will be able to make your own selection. So for example, I have kept question of uh, TST in round 1. Why this TST question? Again, you will see the same chapters question in round 1 also, and same chapters questions in round 3 also. So height and distance you can see in round 1, question number 32 and 36. And in round 3 also, height and distance questions are there. So even from same chapters, you might find easy questions or you might find difficult questions. Difficult, that may be because of the calculations part. Difficult, that may be because of the uh, time consuming or because of the high conceptual involved in that questions, maybe some high logic is involved in that question. So even from the same chapters you will find questions in different form. So first of all, you have to understand what are the questions that you should solve in round 1. Why I have kept this in round 1? Just try to understand, look at questions, you will understand this thing. I just wrote TSD common sense question. So this is one question. I hope all of you are able to see my screen sharing. So if I see this question, this is a bus covers a journey at an average speed of 90 km per hour. If the time for which the bus stops during the journey is excluded, then the average speed for the journey becomes 108 km per hour. So if the bus will travel continuously, then it travel with a speed of 108 km per hour. But it has stopped, so it has covered only 90 km per hour. So in 1 hour, it could have traveled 108, but it has traveled only 90 kilometers. So it did not travel this 18 kilometer. This subtraction is very easy. Everyone can subtract 108 minus 90. Now this 18 kilometer, he has not traveled because he was stopped. So bus stopped for the time for which it could have traveled 18 kilometers. So now 18 kilometers with a speed of 108 kilometers per hour, that is 18 upon 108, that is 1/6 of an hour. And 1/6 of an hour is 10 minutes. So it will be very easy if you understand the logic and common sense. So bus has not traveled 18 kilometers, and then to travel those 18 kilometers, bus will take 18 upon 108, that is 1/6 of an hour. So 1/6 of an hour, that will become 10 minutes. Similarly, I'll show the other questions as well. You will understand. Average question. In average questions, you can see there are 30 people and average is 40 years. There are 30 people and average is 40 years. I'll reshare the screen. Is everyone able to see the screen? Okay. Okay. I'll share another screen also, so you will understand the questions that I was trying to tell you. So first, TST common sense questions that I have told you. Then second is uh, question number 7 and 8 also. I'll share the screen and yes. So from this, you can see the questions that I was trying to explain you. First, question number 2 that I was explaining, that speed of the bus was 108 km per hour, but because of the stoppage, its average speed is 90 km per hour. So difference is 18 km, and that with the speed of 108 km per hour, that is 18 out of 108, that will be 1/6 of an hour, that is 10 minutes. Similarly, if I'll see question number 7, the average of 30 people is 40 years. Now, present age is 11 years of one person had joined the group 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, the person's age would be 9 years. I'm not solving these questions. I'm just trying to make you understand that these questions can be solved without writing anything, only applying common sense and options. So this is very important for NPAT exam and all these competitive exams where uh, time plays key role, where you need to understand that options will help you to answer questions a bit faster. So what was the average age of the remaining 29 people 2 years ago? So now the average age is 40 years. So 2 years ago average age will be 38 years. But one person's age was less than the average, so remaining person's age will be more than the average. And since 2 years ago the average should be 38, so for remaining 29 people, average would be more than that. So correct answer will be 39 years. So 2 years ago the average age was 30, should be 38 years for 30 people. So for 29 people, it will be more because one people, K, whose present age is 11, 2 years back his age would be 9 years. Again, if you'll see the uh, next question also, this is also very interesting to understand that here 9,000, a sum of 9,000 was invested in two different savings schemes. Scheme A offers simple interest. Whenever students see these questions, that simple interest and compound interest, they feel that this is something they will be able to answer very well because they have learned some formula and they start solving using formula. There you need to understand and apply common sense. Here it is written that B offered compound interest at the rate of 16% per annum with semi-annual compounding. Semi-annual compounding means every 6 months interest will be leveled. Now, the amount received after 2 years from scheme A was 8 times the amount received from scheme B. Here you need to understand total it is 9,000. Here also it is 16%. Here also it is 16%. If this both were simple interest, then ratio would be simply 8 is to 1 means 8,000 and 1,000. But so 8,000 and 1,000 we can see in the question that cannot be answered because one is simple interest and one is compound interest. Now in compound interest we'll definitely get more interest. So in compound interest we will get more interest. So the second part should be less. So with the interest it will become more. And the first part should be more. With the simple interest it will be again 1 is to 8 ratio. So definitely correct answer. This should be more than 8,000. This should be less than 1,000. Because of the compound interest it will increase. Because of the simple interest it will not increase to that extent. So ratio will become again 1 is to 8. So there is only one option in which first part is more than 8,000 and second part is less than 8,000. If you put uh, effort to solve these questions by writing and using the formula, you can see how much time it will take. And if you understood the logic behind it, you will be able to answer the same questions without writing anything. So what I was trying to explain is try to go through the question, read options, and try to understand which options will help you, which options will help you uh, which way will help you to eliminate the options easily. So options elimination is also one of the method that you need to understand and you need to improve on that. So whenever you are solving questions, try to focus more on options eliminations or the other way, different way to answer the questions rather than a traditional method that you have learned in your 10th standard or 11, 12 standard. Because all the questions will be more or less up to 10 standard. The difficulty level of the questions will be the same, but only problem will be some questions require highly algebraic manipulation. So this trigonometric questions will require highly algebraic manipulations. So that manipulations will take time to solve the questions. You need to understand if options eliminations or any other way will help you to answer the questions, then that is. So whichever questions is direct questions, formula-based questions, simple percentage calculations, statistics, common sense questions. So those questions should be in round one, and 12 to 15 questions approximately you will find in round one, which will be easy question, direct questions. You will be able to answer that. Again, in round two, again you will find approximately 15 questions, approximately 12 to 14 questions, and again 12 to 14 questions you will find in round three. So out of this, quantitative aptitude and reasoning, total, if out of these 80 questions you answered 50 questions correctly, still you will have wonderful chance to get admissions in esteemed college like NMIS. So you need to understand that you do not need to answer all the questions. You need to answer easy questions because there is no uh, differential marking for easy questions or difficult questions. So if you answer difficult questions, you do not get double marks. So whatever marks you will get for easy question, same marks you will get for difficult question. So why shouldn't we start with the easy question? The selection of the question is very important. For that you'll have to work on. Once you will do this round one, round two, round three with all mock NPAT on your own, then you will be able to do this in the actual examination. Now coming back to what is expected from you. So if I'll say out of this 40 questions, if you attempt even 30 questions or 28 questions, spending 30 to 35 minutes maximum. So in 35 minutes, even if you score 24 with 80-85% accuracy, means attempts 26 to 28 with 80 to 85% accuracy, will give you a decent score of 22 to 24. Again, what I am telling you, that is your genuine attempt, and that is something that you have solved and you are confident that this many scores I am getting. Whatever scores you will get because of the fluke, that will be bonus for you, because we cannot rely on fluke, but we cannot leave any question unmarked. So each question should be definitely answered. That is very important. So that is the first part of this quantitative aptitude. Moving to the second part, the reasoning. Again, in reasoning, you need to understand that uh, questions will be of different level. I'll share the actual paper, then I'll be able to explain you well. So just I hope you are all are able to see my screen. See, the name of the topic is reasoning and general intelligence. So, as from the name, it suggests general intelligence means here you need to apply common sense. So, every time you do not need to solve a lot of things and spend a lot of time, write one page on notebook or rough sheets. You need to understand that if you apply common sense, you will be able to answer so many questions very easily and very fast. So again, this section, this 40 questions, reasoning and general intelligence, I'll divide in two categories. One category of the students who are good at verbal, they will handle these questions or their selection criteria might be different, and one who are good at quant, their selection criteria would be different. I'm talking about the students who are good at verbal first. So there will be questions on logical reasoning, which will be statement assumptions, statement conclusion, statement course of actions, syllogism, and statement argument. So these are the five topics you will see, which will be pure language based and a bit logic on them. So if you have a good habit of reading, you can understand the sentences very fast and you apply a bit logic on it. I'm pretty sure you will be able to solve these questions very easily. There is one benefit of solving these questions, these are independent questions. So these are not in the sets that there will be one set and three, four questions will go. So these are independent questions. So if you could not understand one, then you can skip it and you can go ahead to the second set. So like I'm showing you one question, you will understand this. So why I'm showing this question, because you can relate these questions very well. because it is based on the current scenario of the world. So it is very high chance that you will see the question or reading comprehension passages or questions on this reasoning sections, individual questions, statement, invention, statement, conclusion, based on the event that is happening in the world or current scenario. Because generally question setters are also people who are generally aware of the current scenario of the world. So generally you will see this question: due to the pandemic, the government has ordered that all public transport facilities remain shut. Uh, I might have touched so many hurt because of this. So many of you are worried for this lockdown situations, but this is required. So here, due to the pandemic, the government has ordered that all public transport facilities remain shut. This is the statement. So from this, what can you conclude? If government has ordered to shut all the transport facilities, conclusion 1, these actions may help in containing the pandemic because government has taken this decision. That will definitely be because of the uh, help of the people, because it will really help to stop the spread of the pandemic. So this seems a valid conclusion. Now, if you see the conclusion two, the government does not care about the livelihood of the people in the public transportation business. So, first of all, you need to understand very common sense. I do not need to even tell you that this could not be the conclusion, because government, you cannot. The second conclusion can be said only by the opposition, or even in this situations, oppositions are also supporting this lockdown situation. So it will be very easy for you to answer these kind of simple questions: statement, conclusion, statement, assumptions, statement, argument, syllogs, and you will find fair enough 10 to 12 questions from these 4 5 topics. Definitely 10 to 12 questions, even more than that, but at least 10 to 12 questions only like this: statement, conclusion, statement, assumption, statement, argument. So questions that will be this statement, conclusion, again, uh, syllogism. So different type of statement will be there. So these are the questions which a person who are good at verbal can handle, can read it fast and solve it fast. The person who are good at quant, they should focus more on PI part first. So if a person good at verbal will start with those logical reasoning topic: statement, assumption, statement, conclusion, statement, argument, course of actions, and all this. And the person who are good at quant, they will try to start with the data interpretation part. So there will be 2 to 3 sets of TI. Each set will contains 3 to 4 questions. So if you are good at quant, then definitely you will be able to manage the calculation part of data interpretation. Even if you're not very good at quant, these data interpretations, there will be at least 1 or 2 sets of data interpretation which will not require a lot of mathematics involved in it. So, like first data interpretation I am showing you, one pie chart is shown, there are 5 division, some percentage is given, then allocation of expenses given, then profit earned by division E, one of the division out of 5, profit earned is given. Then there is some formula and there are some uh, again further informations are given about the profitability. So you can see in one set you are finding one bar chart, one line graph, and some formula and some more statement written. So if you see this set, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 4 questions are there. This is the second set, this is the third set. Now if you see the third set, there is a pie chart, appeared candidate, there is another pie chart, qualified candidate. Very simple data, only in terms of percentage: appeared candidate, qualified candidate. Both are pie chart, easy to infer, total is given. Here also total is given. So definitely out of these two sets, a student who understand that they have to score more through this data interpretation part rather than those logical reasoning part, they will select this 13 question. So here you can see one question as well: what is the percentage of qualified candidate with respect to appeared candidate from state B and C taken together? This is 12. What is the difference between the number of qualified candidate of state D and those of G? So 11. 12, 13, and 14. These are the three questions. So if you see the 12th question, what is the difference between the number of qualified candidate of state D and those of G? So qualified candidate means second pie chart. D and G, D is 21%, G is 13%. Difference, it is written in question difference. So difference will be 8% and 8% of 9,000. 8% of 9,000, 8 nines are 72. So definitely this question answer should be there. So if you have understood that DI sets will be there, one DI sets might be a difficult and lengthy DI sets, but there will be another DI sets which will be easy to solve and will take less time as compared to other. So that is something you need to understand. Similarly, if I talk about the puzzles, whenever you solve puzzles, make sure you do not spend a lot of time in questions related to puzzles. So if I see these puzzles, question number 32, there are one, two, three, four, five, six statements are given. By reading these statements, then you understand each and every statement in detail and you try to write in your notebook and draw all the arrangement and diagram. Then you will be able to solve this question number 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Definitely, if you crack this, you'll be able to answer almost 5 questions in a book. But if you will be stuck in this, you'll spend even 10, 15 minutes and then you will realize that this was the wrong selections. So, whenever solving these reasoning questions, I generally prefer taking individual questions more than puzzles. Puzzles you will be given less priority that would come at last. So at last, if time is left, then you will start solving the puzzles. Out of these 5 questions, if one or two questions can be answered without even solving whole sets, then it is okay. Otherwise, you should skip this in the first go because you will not have that much time to spend 15 minutes for one set or 10 minutes for one set. So it will be preferred to spend time on single questions more, even in puzzles like this cube dices questions. You can see questions again. This sets questions. This is also easy. Then it comes about the non-verbal reasoning. There will be 4 to 5 questions, diagram-based questions, in which you need to identify which will be the next diagram. If you see least number of you know, symbols or letters are there, then try to attempt those questions. If you see many symbols or many letters are there, then do not spend much time in this because it will be very difficult to infer. Even if you infer and you spend 2 3 minutes in this, that will be wastage of time. So whenever these kind of questions, next term, missing term, and such thing, you have to understand either in 30 seconds if you crack the logic that two lines are there, again 2 plus 5 extra lines are added, again 5 extra lines are added, again 5 extra added. So if you understand the logic in 30 seconds, then answer. If not, just mark any options and go on. Never think of coming back to these questions. So especially in these kind of questions, non-verbal reasoning, if you are able to answer in 30 to 40 seconds, answer it, otherwise leave it and go on. Then the question based on coding, generally questions based on codings are easy. And if questions will be there like this, the column 1 and column 2, this is the sentence, this is the code for sentence and so on. Then it becomes easy to find out the code for particular word. So in these kind of questions, you can spend time and you can understand. These are the individual questions. So whenever there will be individual questions in reasoning, definitely attempt. And once all the individual questions, independent questions are finished, then only you move to group questions or puzzles questions. Now, without taking much of your time, I'll just tell you what is the expected score in this reasoning section for this mock NPAT. So I believe 40 to 45 minutes is the ideal time that you should spend in this reasoning section, and ideal attempts would be 34 to 36. So out of 34 to 36, if you maintain 80, even 80% accuracy, you'll be able to score 28 to 30. So 28 to 30 here and 22 to 24 there. So both together will definitely be 50. So out of 80 questions, you have to answer 50 questions correct. Again, the same point that fluke will not rely on fluke. Definitely, people get 4 to 5 extra marks because of the fluke overall. If I'll talk about the overall, so even for BBA, you need to score 72 to 74 score. Would be safe, then definitely you get the call. Even base economics and other branches, you get 80 to 82 because score goes a bit 5 6 marks higher than the BBA score. So, did you understand from this? That even if you answer two-thirds of the paper well and select the right questions, then there will not be any difficulties to get through this exams. You need to understand two-thirds of the paper. You should know. That's it. One-third of the paper, if you are not knowing, then also there is not a problem. Only you need to understand that one-third of the paper should not be selected first, because the question which you don't know will not come later. That might be the first question. You need to understand that this is the question that I have to skip, this is the question that I have to leave, and you have to go ahead. Just mark any options of that questions and go ahead. And the most important, do not leave any questions unmarked, because there is no negative marking. So you should mark each and every questions definitely. And do not spend time in fluke. Fluke means it should be blind fluke. It should not be intelligent guess, because if you start applying intelligent guess in the remaining questions also, it will be very difficult for you to save time for the questions which you know. So I would suggest you it should be pure blind guess. If you are not solving, not solving. Then it should be only blind guess. Then, most important, play with your strong areas always. Like it could be verbal and reasoning, it could be quant and reasoning, because there is no sectional cutoff, no sectional time limit. Always make at least two of these three sections as a strong, and one sections you can spend a bit less time. So always play with your strong area. That is very important. And at last, I am giving you this, you can say this mantras of success. If you do your self-analysis of each and every mock on regular basis, then I guarantee no one can stop you to improve your performance. So this is very important, that the day you have taken mock, you can forget your lunch, but you cannot skip your self-analysis. So on the same day, if you have taken mock today, same day, just try to uh, go through each and every questions and make a notebook, either notebook or Excel sheet in your computer, and write your all mistakes, because making mistakes is not wrong thing. If you could not remember those mistakes so that you can stop yourself in making the same mistakes further, that is wrong thing. It is very important. Write your each and every mistake in your notebook and Excel sheet, and try to understand how to improvise this and avoid making the same mistakes next time. So self-analysis chart should look like this, that mock and bet for analysis, question number 4, 7, whichever questions you have made mistake, which topic it was, what is the description of the questions, what mistakes you made, and what are the things that you will do to improvise this mistake, or will not repeat these mistakes further. So these kind of chart, if you prepare, that will help you a lot to improvise for your score. Also, whenever you finish your test, endeavor give you this benefit to see your time spent in each questions, correct questions, correct answers, wrong answers, and everything. That analysis will help you a lot. So once you finish your mock, you can see in view report, all your report, you will understand with the graph also, that how much time you have spent for wrong answers, how much time you have spent for correct answers, what was the difficulty level, which topic it was, and all this. Those chart will help you a lot to prepare your own self-analysis chart. So spend time. This is the, you know uh, best part of the endeavor analysis, that after test, when you click on view report, you see all the details very well. And at last, compare your mock score, whatever you have done earlier, whatever you have done now, and in these durations, what are the steps that you have taken to improve it. That is very important. Thank you so much. All the best. Now I am handing over this to my team member,